About a decade ago, I was completely drowning in my life. And I was doing everything that I knew how to do to fix it. All the right things. Exercising a lot, trying to eat really well, going to therapy. No, a decade ago, I wasn't going to therapy yet. It was before the anxiety meltdown. At any rate, it turns out that it wasn't me, it was the environment that I was living in that was the problem. I actually didn't need a better routine, I needed a better life, a different life. If you're a mom who's doing absolutely everything that you can to be okay right now and it's not working, this episode is for you. So in 2014, we had added our fifth child to the family, and she was a doozy. And I know that sounds mean, but children aren't meant to grow up in institutions. And our daughter had grown up in an institution for 7 years. She has Down syndrome, and she came into our family as our fifth child. And at that time, I was really dead set on not drowning from the chaos of my life. Which is funny. Like, you might wonder, why in the world did you have 5 children if you were concerned about drowning? And that might be a story for another day, but it has a lot to do with having been in high control religion and being really encouraged to have a bunch of kids, with ever being encouraged to know myself and my capacity. And back to 2014, I was gonna do this like the best ever is how I was gonna do it. It was a really, really intense time. I was potty training a 7-year-old with Down syndrome when she was totally capable and could have been potty trained years before. She was capable and they left her in a diaper. So that's what I was dealing with. I call it the poop wars. I think she had quite a bit of anxiety, understandably, moving across the world, new family, and while ultimately being in a family instead of in an institution was a positive thing, it was really a hard transition for all of us, including her. And pooping was one of the things she could control. So that was my situation when I was like, I'm going to be so fit. I'm going to be so skinny and I'm going to have so much energy, even though I have all these kids. Like, I was doing the most. I look back on that, Andy, and I just think, oh, honey, take a break. That was all going on. I was going to the gym 2 hours a day. Now, part of that was strategic because the Y would take your children up to 2 hours a day, and I really needed the break, as you can imagine. But also, like, I was really, really focused on being thin. Probably also another episode. But I was just doing the most, doing the most, doing the most. And I feel like a lot of the content online right now for people in my age range, so I'm 44. This series is my last 44 days of being 44. I'm going to post every day during those 44 days. And women who are in my stage of life, probably having some perimenopause symptoms, also maybe having teenagers. And then, like, we're getting all of this content basically telling us to do the most, right? The pressure is really high to, like, eat 40 gazillion grams of protein and wear your weighted vest and HRT, don't lose your mind with your teenagers, and lead the resistance, etc., etc. Plus, like, a lot of us are like taking care of older parents, right? So I feel like this stage, maybe for you, if you're in my age range, is similar kind of pressure that I was experiencing a decade ago, just different stuff, right? And I think as a woman, I carry a lot. As a woman, you carry a lot if you're a woman. I really am here to talk to the women. I also am happy to talk to non binary friends. I'm just not here to talk to the guys. Sorry, not sorry. Anyways, really what it came down to was I was drowning. I was drowning in America. I was drowning by my life, but also just by the pace of life in America and the pressures that were put on me as a mother, as a woman. So I didn't really track the fact that there was a different way to live than feeling like I was drowning, or I guess at that point, maybe more accurately, I felt like I was treading water. So I was trying to prevent myself from drowning. And I didn't realize that there was another option for me until we began traveling outside the US more. And we did that because we looked at our priorities and we downsized to a smaller house and we started traveling internationally because travel was really important to me and we wanted to do it both as a couple and with our family. And I started to notice that when I exited America, I felt like I was coming up for air. So when I went back, I felt like I was taking a deep breath and like going underwater and holding my breath again. Being in America for me felt like holding my breath. And so it turns out that breathing is actually quite addictive. Feeling like you don't have to hold your breath all the time is really appealing, and that was a big part of realizing that we wanted to move abroad and leave America, because I liked being able to feel like I could breathe and not feeling like I was drowning. So that's what led us to build a life outside of America. Right now, I'm in northern Portugal. I love this place. I'm taking a break for the weekend all by myself. And I had to just share the environment with you. But essentially, when I exited the US, I exited survival mode. And I don't know if I exactly could have named that at the time, but now, 7 years out, it's really clear to me how much I was functioning in survival mode in the US. Partially, again, because of the weight of my particular big family and the fact that we have kids with disabilities, we have a lot of neurodivergence. I realized since we've left and since we've had kids get diagnosed with anxiety or ADHD that I actually have ADHD. So I was trying to do all of that in this environment that really doesn't lend itself well toward people with ADHD. I don't like rushing. It's so funny, right? You learn so many things through your life about yourself, and you're like, why did I decide to do this? Like, why did I set up my life in such a way if I didn't like rushing? Like, why did I have 5 kids? But again, I was in an environment that didn't tell me to think about my own needs at all. And so I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was doing the godly thing. Yeah. So, I mean, really what it came down to was like, I didn't know myself very well. And that's a funny thing because I wasn't in these high control churches until being a young adult. I grew up in church, healthy church. It was an important part of my life. It's still an important part of my life, but like the high control period, it was really emphasized like you couldn't trust yourself, you couldn't trust your intuition. And so like during those years, I was discouraged from knowing myself. And those are the years I was building my family. But on top of that is just America and hustle culture and productivity and the pressure and the go, go, go and the schedule. And none of those things, as a person who really doesn't like to rush, none of those things suited me very well. And they contributed to me feeling underwater. So life in the US just felt like constant running, constant exhaustion, having a hard time scheduling time with friends because everybody was having the same packed schedules that we did. And I would say that the pace of life is one of the ways that I have found living outside the US really healing. Living in Europe, and the reason that I'd say Europe generally is because we've lived in several different places over the last 7 years. So I speak generally about Europe, even though right now I live in Portugal. And before that, for a long stint, we lived in the Republic of Georgia. So far west and far eastern Europe, I have experience with both of those. And all of it has been so healing for me as a neurodivergent mom because the pace of life feels way more humane and much more suited to the way that I like to function. So American culture and the American pace and stress level was really hard on me as a neurodivergent mom. And I really like the pace of my life here in Portugal much better than I liked the pace of my life in the States. So for me as a neurodivergent mom of high needs kids, the pace in America wasn't just hard, it was unsustainable. So I didn't need to like optimize my life or my routine. What I really needed was a different environment, an environment that didn't ask so much of me, that didn't ask me to rush all the time, that didn't ask me to be a machine, honestly, to have machine-like productivity. The thing I love about Portugal is the stress levels are much lower here. People know how to take a break. It's really normal to see families out like walking on the beach or enjoying a really long lunch or coffee. The pace is just way more humane here. And so I think that's been extremely healing to change my environment and change the whole system that I'm trying to function within. Moving abroad has been us choosing a life that feels more sustainable for our family and for my husband and I as parents in a high needs family. I'm Andy, and this is day 2 of 44 ways that moving abroad has healed me. Actually, what was I going to call this? I bet by day 11 I'm going to know what this is called. 44 ways I built a life that 44 ways I built a life that doesn't break me. That's what I'm naming this series. And it's just all about how moving abroad has healed different parts of me. So I invite you to join me. And if you're curious about moving abroad yourself, I have resources that can help you down in my video description. See you tomorrow.